self-determination is the ability for an individual to determine their own destiny and make their own choices. It's actually both attitudes and abilities that allow these youth to determine their own goals and work towards them. There's no official starting age. The process goes on from birth and throughout one's entire life to truly be able to develop these self-determination skills. There are multiple skills that are involved in becoming self-determined. Some of this involves being able to set goals, so that means problem solving. It means reevaluating what you've done and also carrying out those goals and working towards them. It includes being able to talk about one's disability and talk about accommodations that they may need to achieve those goals. It also includes the ability to advocate for one's own needs. So that includes being self-aware, knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, your disability, and what can help you achieve those goals. Ultimately, there are many beneficial outcomes to self-determination. These include having increased employment after high school. It means being able to live independently and make those choices that some of us take for granted of where they want to eat, what they want to do each day, and making those decisions. Ultimately, these youth who are able to make the decisions and are involved in making decisions about their own lives are more likely to work towards these goals and to attain them. There is no test that can determine somebody's potential, and so it is so important to make sure that we are setting our expectations for youth at the highest standard possible. There are multiple activities, processes, and different studies that address how to make a self-determined youth. There are multiple possibilities, and one of the first steps is to promote the opportunity for decision making. The second step in this is to really promote problem solving. So that includes making sure that youth, number one, have an opportunity to solve their own problems, that they are looking at challenges in their own lives and are able to address them, but then that they are able to reevaluate those decisions and see if those were the right decisions. Then number three is the risk-taking, which I feel is one of the most difficult aspects of this whole self-determination process. Youth need to be able to own challenges and consequences. They need to be able to see that their decisions have an impact. And it goes on to self-advocacy, which is another step to the self-determination process, and ultimately feeds into all the other steps. Self-advocacy means that a youth knows about their disability, knows what they need to succeed, and is willing to talk about it. The next step is goal setting and planning. Goal setting and planning is one of the key elements. A youth needs to be able to start looking at their future, start deciding what their interests are, what their abilities are, and deciding what they want to do. I truly encourage that all parents and professionals find mentors for their young adults to work with and to help encourage them in finding their identity and their self-esteem. As a young adult who has a disability, self-determination has been key in my successful transition, but also in the lives of countless youth that I've worked with. I encourage all parents, youth, and professionals to encourage the development of self-determination and help youth to determine their destiny in life.
I'm Joan Badger. You've already heard from my daughter Josie in self-determination, and I'm going to give you a perspective from the parent side. remember that it's a process that needs to begin in childhood. And in self-determination, even for children who are very compromised medically, they need to have the opportunity to make decisions on their own. Help them understand their disability. You need to talk to them about the disability and involve them in all the aspects, whether it's education, family decisions, or their own medical decisions. When Josie was in elementary school, she never wanted a nurse to be with her in the classroom, but she needed to know how to get a nurse to come to help her when she needed it. She also needed self-advocacy skills. She did not need mom or a nurse always speaking up for her. She had to learn to do that herself and had to be given the opportunity to do that. As a parent, you have to think outside the box. You have to sometimes artificially create situations where they have opportunities to take risk. Obviously, some of their risks are more dangerous than the average child. For example, when Josie was young and she would have a friend come over, they would go outside to play by themselves and often be out of sight. There were some incidents where they did things that other kids did, like get her wheelchair stuck in the creek where they weren't supposed to be at all. Another example was that we would go to the mall. She and a friend would go out of sight. They'd go shopping on their own, but we had cell phone contact and would check in a half hour, and they could always get a hold of me if there was some problem that they needed to address. This gave her an opportunity to experience independence, because for some of our children, we do not allow them, they cannot be alone. They can't be out there without supervision to be safe. And the feeling, the experience of making decisions on their own, not having an adult supervise them and make all of their choices for them, is an important skill that they need to learn.